woman found out that Dwight Howard was going to these transgender sex parties, and from his perspective, he thought that they were not in a relationship, but they were dating. They had some sort of understanding.
So allegedly Dwight Howard and this guy,
right? And so the guy calls Dwight.
Can we go back? Wait a minute. Dwight Howard, 6'11".
Yes.
Dwight Howard that played basketball.
Yes.
That can probably have any woman in the world. Mm-hmm. Is doing what now?
So
I'm just asking.
Yes, he's going to transgender sex parties and had a male cis partner.
A male what partner?
Cis.
What does that mean?
Cis. What is it?
So
is
a man who dresses.
What is that?
A man who dresses as a female but identifies as a gay male.
And it's called a what?
A cis.
A cis.
CIS. Cisgender.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, anyways,
I'm just trying to
so
understand.
he found out about Dwight going to these alleged sex parties, and like any, partner, calls him, and he's like, "Dude, we've been talking. I thought we had an understanding. Now I'm finding out that you going to these sex parties." So, Dwight Howard then kind of reeled back because he didn't want people to know, obviously, what was going on, and he went as far as to getting his pastor to call this man and reinforce an alleged NDA and offered a
what's the NDA?
Non-disclosure agreement that apparently they had in place.
Okay.
And tried to offer her some sort of cash payment to kind of be on the hush-hush about this because he was upset about the transgender sex party.
Pause. As I parenthetically place this, I am a pastor.
Right.
Please, no members ever ask me to get involved in your domestic escapades. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I actually have what was really said. So because he was on a video, he released a video talking about the situation. Mason did, and he said Calvin, who is the pastor, Calvin works for Dwight, and Calvin began to get irate, disrespectful, and homophobic as I continued to deny his hush money and said I wasn't signing the NDA. He tried to insult my intelligence, telling me Dwight doesn't know me and I never spoke to Dwight despite me meeting him. Mm-hmm. My relationship with Dwight pretty much was over in my eyes, especially after he threatened to beat the explicit out of me. Of course, I'm mouthy and threatened him back and said harsh things. So, I guess this whole thing blew up after he found out about him going to the sex parties. Dwight wanted him to keep this whole thing on in the hush-hush, so he had his pastor act as him first. Okay. And then he turned around and started getting irate and offered him hush money and told him to sign an NDA, which he did not want to do. Okay. So since revealing all these things, because when he revealed all these things on Twitter, he also provided videos where you could hear him talking to Dwight. He released DMs. He released a whole bunch of receipts, if you will.
Wow.
And so now he dropped a video verbally explaining everything that went on. So he's being relentless about letting the world know about this situation. So the first thing I want to ask, and I know we got to wrap it up because it's the end of the show, but I want to get through this. So the first thing I want to ask is, what do you think about professional athletes or people who are in, let's just say, macho professions, like whether if they play a sport or they're a police officer or something where you are expected to be this manly man.
Yep.
What do you think about people who are in this position and the scrutiny that they have to go through identifying as gay? And so and the reason why I ask is, obviously Dwight Howard really, really, really did not want this to get out. And, in the NFL, they just made it so that they could sign gay football players and all this stuff. But what do you think about the nature of sexuality and these manly professions?
Well, I would start off by saying this. When you are a public figure, period, whether you be a professional athlete, whether you be clergy, a police officer, a politician or whatever, your life is under a microscope.
Right.
Everyone is trying to find out how you're living, who you're dating, what are you caught into. I mean, I think it goes back, guys, to our show on reality TV. Everybody wants to be involved in that person's life. So
to the point where they feel entitled.
That's right. So on that regard, people are looking for an opportunity to insert their opinions into the lives of individuals as certain things are published. Now, it is so now popular for an athlete to be homosexual.
Right.
Okay. And again, I'm not saying that we have a problem with that. That's someone's preference or whatever.
It's just not. It's not normal.
It is not the most popular thing to do. As a matter of fact, in the locker rooms, it is frowned upon. Some individuals will not even be in the locker room to change, to shower, to put on equipment if you are struggling with that particular lifestyle. So I am sure that if that is what Dwight Howard is dealing with allegedly, I am for certain that he did not want that to be public.
For that exact reason.
And I will go on to say this, guys. Don't you think if he wanted it to be public, it would be public?
Absolutely.
It's exactly. It's unpopular. It is not something that he would want to be associated with publicly.
Right.
However, it's his private struggle or his private life or whatever. And individuals are so inclined to find out how you're living.
Yep.
Now, I would venture to say, to answer your question, Amber, it is very difficult to be a professional athlete and embrace the same-sex lifestyle because your counterparts, your colleagues or whatever, will not see you the same. Now, several athletes have come out in the past and announced, so to speak, their lifestyle, and they were ostracized.
Wow.
They were talked about and stuff like that because it's not popular. It is not the thing that people want to be a part of.
Right.
So I am sure right now Dwight Howard is dealing with some psychological stuff that is heavy on him, and the culture and the climate of whatever locker room that he's a part of, I promise you, is not very inviting.
And aside from the locker room and that aspect of it, I understand this person was mad about what happened, but I've always believed in personal choice. And even though it might not have been the right thing to do to keep it on the hush-hush, I do still believe that if Dwight Howard is gay or is bisexual, that should have been his choice to out it. Because it's not only affecting his career. Now it's like he has 5 kids. I'm sure he has sons who look up to him as that male figure, and he has a father. He has people in his life that are like, what's going on? That doesn't only affect you.
It affects everybody he's connected to. And the thing that I want to share, sometimes in the public's eye, it is not even necessarily important or significant that Dwight Howard is that way.
Right.
People will be mad at him because he no longer fits the image that they painted for him.
Yep.
They're upset that he's not the guy they thought he was. And to me, that is the most damaging part, because people are more in tune with image and what they create for people that they don't even care about the person themselves.
Wow.
So he has to now deal with a public that will say, we don't like you anymore, or you suck as a basketball player, not because of his sexual preference, but now because he doesn't look like the same guy that I knew or that I felt he should be.
Right.
And I think that that's such an imposition for people to impose their opinions and their desires on other individuals. I dealt with that too as a public figure and as a pastor. Sometimes people don't get mad at you because of your decisions. They get mad at you because you don't accommodate their perception of you anymore. And to me, that's not right. Now, whatever is going on in his life, I know that it's going to be a very challenging season for him. the public and the media and these articles and these magazines and tabloids have got a hold of it, and he has to outlive a lot of things, which will probably devalue him in the eyes of people. And many individuals now will disconnect from him and not be a fan because of how his life was exposed.
However, if he does own up to it, he will gain the support of the LGBTQ community, and they are some very, very supportive people. Very supportive people.
Well, I think it all gets back down to what your own personal situation is.
It does.
Because people are going to find their support from whether it's in the locker room, whether it's outside interest groups or whatever the case may be. But I agree with you. I think that's information that should be released at the appropriate time, because
it should be a personal
it's going to have an impact. But the other thing, but conversely though, I'm not going to let him totally off the hook, because if he's out there participating in behavior that is questionable or it's bordering on, I don't know, I can't even find the words, but it's creating discomfort not only at home but for the other person that he's dealing with. So he has,
that wasn't right.
Right, he has his wife or his girlfriend at home, and then he has this other guy over here on the side that he's dealing with. I mean, that's a mess.
And then he's going to the parties.
Right. So he has to get himself together.
That's good. He has to get himself together.
Yeah, whatever he wants to do with his personal life is his business. But
figure it out, buddy.
He has to figure it out, and he has to clean it up so that he's not hurting people. And that's what's happening.
That's good. You know, and I have a statement. Who you are privately should be okay to be seen publicly.
Yep.
That there should not be a dichotomy between who you are privately and who you are publicly.
That's right.
That is the epitome of hypocrisy.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, if you're gay, you're gay. You live your truth. If you're straight, you're straight. Live your truth. But you know, it's what happens when, and not even just your sexuality. When people are trying to be things they can't be, it creates problems. We all have those friends that,
I love it. That's good.
They go out to the club, for example, and then they try to pretend to be this worldly businessman or businesswoman, and then when the person gets to know them and they realize, well, you don't even work, you don't even have a job, and you don't have an apartment. You know, you're living with your mother and you're playing video games all day. So even in those situations, you are not the person that you are pretending to be. So you're right, Pastor C. You have to be the person that you are.
Period.
And then people will judge you up or down.
Yep.
You know, either I like what I'm seeing or I don't like it, so I'm moving on to someone else.
Plus, you don't want to ever give anybody that type of leverage over you, over your money. I mean, like, and that's my biggest thing. Like, in my opinion, this was just really irresponsible on his part, because it's like, you're going to these parties, you're doing this and you're doing that, and all you're doing is providing leverage. If this is something that you truly did not want to know, who knows how many people he's been in contact with. This was bound to happen if he was really going the way that this guy is claiming, with the parties and the relationships with different males. So it's like, if this is something that you don't want to get out, why would you give somebody that leverage? You don't know these people.
And be able to throw it up in your face.
Right.
You know, but
that's your brand. That's your name. That's you.
But see, if you're going to be a certain way in private, be proud of it.
Right.
And if you're going to make this decision, go ahead and be that way in private and in public. Here's my thing. If you can only do it in private, that may very well mean that you don't approve of it either.
Yep.
You know, or you are in
or you're
fear.
Ashamed of
there
it.
You go. You are ashamed of it. Listen, this topic of relationship was very, 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 very broad, and I'm sure that we can continue conversing about this and have some great content.
I agree. This is another show. We have to
do it. It is another, because I need to find out. out of the three of us, which one of us are in love or whipped? I really want to find that out. And when Thin Bad comes back, we need to know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Thin Bad's going to open that door.
Yes. Are you whipped? What a show. Listen, this has been a great discussion, guys. Relationships are indeed a beautiful thing. They are. When a person finds the right companion, all kinds of things happen and change. Some people say that when that special person entered the room, they felt chills, saw stars, felt weak in the knees.